Okay, 10 o'clock. Good morning. Good morning. How are you? Welcome to another episode of Umbercat Live. Happy to have you guys on. Hey, if you want to hop on, the link is on the chat window. So check out that link if you're interested in hopping on with me on this program today. Welcome. Happy to have you on. Where you're watching from, post in the chat where you are watching from. Good to have you. So is it just me, or do you also feel the way that I feel? Because I am confused. Ladies and gentlemen, I am confused because Nigeria is all over the map. Nigeria is all over the board with all of the trade deals that's going on right now in the Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration. There's just a lot going on. We are everywhere these days. Doesn't it seem like Nigeria is kind of everywhere these days? Today, it's a trade agreement with Turkey. Tomorrow, it's a trade agreement with Brazil. Last week is a trade agreement with France. None of this seems to add up. All these agreements happening, and mind you, majority of them are MOUs, Memorandum of Understanding, which isn't a binding contract in any way. That's just me and you sitting across the table saying, hey man, let's do business. That's really what a Memorandum of Understanding is. You have your objective, I have my objective. We sit down, we say, let's do business. We sign the memorandum of understanding, or in some cases, we even shake hands. Power brokers in the world, they do business by shaking hands. They don't really redline things until it's officially official. So there's a lot of handshaking going on. There's a lot of kissing of babies going on. You know, you shake hands and you kiss babies. That's what a memorandum of understanding is. None of that is binding. And none of all these trade deals and trade partnerships and trade agreements, you can't really tie any of those things today to job creation in Nigeria. Isn't it what it's all about? Creating jobs for the ordinary Nigerian. So Nigerians are not convinced. We see a lot of the optics going on right now. Some people are saying that Tinubu is traveling way too much. He's been in office now for what, 2 years and 8 months, going on 2 years and 9 months. I think he's been out of the country for about 200 days out of the 2 years and 9 months. Jet setting all over the world, doing these weird trade deals, which to some people it makes no sense because we can't see the link. You can't really tie these trade links to growth, formal growth. Because right now, a high percentage of what's happening in Nigeria is informally driven. We have got to get out of that informal sector because you can't measure it. And it's impossible for you to tax an informal sector. How does a country generate revenue through taxation? How can you tax something you can't find? How can you tax something you can't control? How can you tax something that keeps moving? The organizers in Nigeria that you see that repairs all the road, all the broken cars that we all see in Nigeria. What is this? And the mechanic villages. They are not regulated. That to me is an informal sector. The organizer on the road, informal. The mom and pop businesses selling foodstuffs on the roadside, informal. You go to Balogun market, informal. You go to Onitsha market, informal. Most of these providers of services, all informal, very, very difficult to measure, extremely difficult to tax. So then how does the country make money when only 20% of a population of 220 people, only 20% are paying taxes? Only 20% of Nigerians pay taxes. So what does the country do? How are we supposed to make money? How are we supposed to build roads? How are we supposed to build infrastructure? You know how we do it, ladies and gentlemen? We lease our minds. We sell our minerals because we still cannot process most things in country. So we got to sell. That's how the country generates. And this foreign direct investment, bringing companies in, which we're going to talk about, because we just signed another deal with another weird nation, South Korea, on EV manufacturing. Nigeria is making a deal with South Korea today to bring EV electric vehicle factories to Nigeria with all of the power constraints. We don't have stable electricity in Nigeria. And we are optimizing for electric vehicle factories in the country when we still don't have constant, consistent electrical power in the country. So none of this makes sense to me. Nigeria has to be able to go a full calendar year of electricity, uninterrupted electricity, a full calendar year in the rural parts of Nigeria. I'm not talking about Lagos. You can't measure it with Lagos and Abuja. That's more developed. I'm talking about rural Nigeria. We have to be able, for you to get someone like me to be convinced. And most people, most Nigerians in the diaspora are watching, ordinary Nigerians. It seems like we tend to cater to corporations and huge firms. I'm talking about ordinary Nigerians. Just like in the United States, it's the ordinary American that's the backbone of the American economy. Sorry, the ordinary American. Excuse me. You see, this is live. I don't record and then yeah, edit. So read between the lines. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean. It's the micro businesses. That is why America is strong. Small business administration. These are the guys. You see, the huge businesses like the Googles and the SpaceXs and the Microsofts, those are unicorn businesses. What underpins the American economy are small to medium-sized enterprises. They call them SMEs. And the majority of them are regulated. You see, I own a business in Nevada. My business is registered with the state of Nevada. My business is registered with the county of Las Vegas where I sit. I couldn't do this without being registered, without being regulated. And every year I got to renew my license. As a business, you walk to a mechanic shop in America, a body shop in America, they are regulated by that. States. So if you're in the New York State and you own a body shop in New York, or you are fixing any kind, you've got to be bonded and licensed, and you are regulated by the state of New York. You just can't open up a body shop business in your house. You can't do that. So you are taxed. That's how America generates revenue. And you don't see America going out there beg. Well, sorry guys. I shouldn't say the word begging. Is World Bank not currently in Nigeria? Well, are we begging? Are we not? I mean, it depends on who you ask. When was the last time you see America reaching out to the World Bank? Yes, you're gonna say America is developed now. Is Nigeria a developing nation or an underdeveloped nation? Depends on who you ask. See, America doesn't do that. America attracts people. It attracts talent. It attracts investors. But it all starts with homegrown institutions. And everything has to make sense. I am confused how a country that is a net importer of used vehicles. Nigeria is the ogbologbo of used cars. Remember back in those days when I was younger, it was Belgium. Everybody used to bring in Belgium cars. Now it's mostly American vehicles that the Nigerian consumers are buying. They are importing them. And also, it's not as if these are roadworthy vehicles either. Majority of these cars that Nigerian importers are buying, sending to Nigeria they've been in wrecks. Most of them have been in floods. They are unsuitable for Western roads. But then we send them to Nigeria and somebody will come and buy a used car that's been in a wreck, that's been in floods, that's unsuitable for American and Western roads. And they walk around and say, oh, I have a new car. Only in Nigeria can somebody buy something used and say it's new. I guess your used is the new in Nigeria, I guess. Net importer of used vehicles. And now we are doing what? We signed, and we're going to talk about the agreement. I'm going to pull it up shortly for you guys to see, but I'm trying to paint a picture for you guys. So now we are what? Signing a deal with South Korea. They make good cars. I have a Hyundai Elantra. Is Hyundai Elantra, is Hyundai South Korea? I think so. Hyundai. It's a great brand. That's what I drive. It's in Nigeria. So now we are doing this deal with South Korea to open EV factories in Nigeria, a country that still doesn't have regular lights, a country that's still struggling to support indigenous EV car makers in Nigeria, like the Innosons and the Nord Motors in Nigeria, Nord. Nord is not a manufacturer, though. They are an assembly company. They assemble parts into, and they buy these engineering vehicle parts here, bring in batteries, they put it together. That's what Nord does. Innoson is kind of bordering that too, because Innoson does not really have a vertically integrated operation. They design their cars, but do they control the engineering? Innoson went from combustion vehicles to now EVs, which is also extremely confusing to me In a nation that still doesn't have regular power, all these deals, all these MOUs, all these CEPAs that we are excited about. Well, I shouldn't say we, because the ordinary Nigerian probably doesn't know what's going on right now because they are just trying to, they are survivalists. Just like I said, all those informal businesses that we see, they are just trying to survive on a day-to-day basis. Do you think the guy that owns a carpentry shop somewhere that makes stools and little tables for people cares about imports? He's thinking, sorry, exports. He's thinking about how he's going to eat the following day. And if you're like me, if you're based abroad, have you tried commissioning a carpenter in Nigeria to make something for you? Like a table, like a coffee table. You would lose your mind. Because one leg will be longer than another leg. I've seen this. The wood grain that's used will be two different variations of wood grain. One side of the table will be darker, the other side of the table will be lighter. The drawers won't open. So, what do you do? Most Nigerians, what do they do? Rich Nigerians, they import furnitures from abroad. My uncle is one of those rich ones that does it because you just can't get what you need in Nigeria. You got to bring it in. Another thing that we also have to look at, you see, guys, you got to look at data, you got to look at numbers. You see, the optics doesn't really impress me if I can't tie those optics to the data on ground right now. One out of every 10 Nigerian household, only one owns a vehicle. So 10%. 10% of every household in Nigeria own a vehicle. And these vehicles that they own, they are used though. They are what? Combustion vehicles. You see, in order for you to have an industry, in order for you to have adoption, you need a minimum of 30% adoption. When 30%, let me go back. In order for us to have adoption in Nigeria, we need 30% of Nigerian households to own combustion vehicles. Cars with petrol that use petrol and diesel and engine oil. You see, Okada doesn't count. I'm not talking about Okada. Four-wheel cars. The purchasing power is not there. Majority of Nigerians are using leggedies bands. They walk with their legs. I was one of those, man. So as if I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth. Where you go, sha. You could take legs, sha. We don't even have 30% of combustion adoption yet. And we are talking about EVs. I'm not saying Nigeria shouldn't play in the EV sandbox. The deals are confusing. They don't make sense to me. And why South Korea? Why not China? So the link, the correlation between South Korea and Nigeria in the electric vehicle space, in addition to the struggling automobile section, indigenous automobile sector in Nigeria, sorry, low adoption. Because Nigerians are not driving Innoson vehicles. Nigerians are not driving Nord vehicles at scale. And then we are talking about bringing in a foreign organization to set up a factory in Nigeria, not just a factory in Nigeria to make combustion cars, but a factory in Nigeria to make electric plug-in cars in a country where the majority of the people are not even homeowners. Where are we going to find the charging stations, ladies and gentlemen? We just barely got out of queuing for fuel after 65 years of independence. All of this stuff, ladies and gentlemen, is happening way too fast. Slow down, Nigeria. Let's slow down, please, because we just got out of what? You see, we are moving way too fast. And the people who are striking these agreements are confusing themselves. They are confusing the ordinary Nigerians. They are confusing investors because you can't convince me if I am an investor in the automotive space, in the electric EV space, you just can't convince me to set up an operation in a country that's still struggling to have regular, consistent electrical power for its citizens. So is there something that I'm missing? Is there something going on here? Are we just really all about the show? You know Nigerians now. We are all about what's on the surface. We are really mostly about the what do I call it? The extravaganza. The Hollywood production is what we are. Yeah, we just signed a deal with Korea. We just signed a deal with the UAE. We just signed a deal with Saudi Arabia. All these weird deals that don't make sense. You look, the reason why I asked why not China? China would have been a partner for Nigeria if we are going in this direction. Let me backstep. In the current climate of EV cars, I'm not saying that the EV sector isn't growing globally. I'm saying that it is cooling down. It's not the fast growth it was a year or 2 years ago. It is starting to cool down. Follow the money. Ford Motors in the US have given up on all electric vehicles. They took a 90 something billion-dollar loss to go back to combustion and hybrid plug-in EV that can give you, let's say, 1,000 kilometers on the road on a full charge. You get 500, sorry, I'm saying kilometers, miles. I'm in the US. So you can get maybe 300 to 400 miles on a full charge. And then when that battery dies, the combustion aspect of that car kicks in and it can give you another maybe 400 to 500 miles. For you to go all electric, it's cooling in the US and it's also cooling globally. That's one of the beefs that Trump had with Elon. Because Trump said, hey man, I like you. Yeah, do your thing. But the average American still wants a car. They still want to be able to go to the gas station and pump fuel. We are not going to kill the combustion sector to please you. And I know some people in Nigeria say, oh, let's get rid of combustion cars and just go all EV. Yeah, how? How can you possibly go all EV So how am I going to charge my car, my EV car, with generator that's I still, okay, fine, let's go all EV. Don't I still need to buy diesel and petrol for my generator to charge the EV that you want me to buy? So back to the topic of China. China would have been the ideal partner for Nigeria if Nigeria really wants to do this EV thing. Because China is the largest producer of electricity in the world today. China is also the largest producer of electric vehicles in the world today, full EVs and also hybrid today. They are not the most valuable. US is still is. Tesla still is. By a freaking 10 to 1 ratio. See, China is all about volume and cheap cars. China would have been an ideal partner. Where South Korea came into this equation is still something that I'm scratching my head about trying to understand. And compared to Nigeria, China has a 52% EV adoption rate, meaning 52% of China's household own EV cars. You're looking at a population of 1.4 billion people. Half of them, they fully adopted EVs, whether it's straight full-on EV or hybrid. You are not even in the conversation of EV without a minimum of 30% adoption. Nigeria, we only have 10% adoption on combustion cars, meaning EV doesn't even exist. It's immaterial. Let's stop with the show. You see, the ordinary Nigerian back home, the ordinary business owner back home that's just struggling to make a living, that is just struggling to feed their family and pay their rent. They've written off you guys now. They've written off the Nigerian government. You guys can do what you want. You can sign all the deal you want. It does not equate to jobs for me. We got to get out of the optics of just putting on shows for people trying to look good, all the photo opportunities, the photo ops. Today we bring in EV, what do you call it? Today we bring in a World Bank and we shake hands and we do a couple of pictures and we do a couple of interviews. And we are saying that we are doing something. Okay. So you signed a MOU today. By the way, that's not even legally binding. It's not official. So when are you going to break ground? These things take years because even after a deal has been signed, there still have to be due diligence. It takes at least 3 years for that. There's still got to be due diligence. We got to come in and see. We got to do a SWOT analysis. We got to do a market research analysis on the need for this particular product that we're bringing. We still got to do all that. That takes about 2, 3 years. The deals don't make sense to me. I don't understand it. What I feel we should be focused on right now is fixing the national grid. But yes, we're talking about the US. The US also has outages here and there. Yes, we do. There's actually recently there was an outage, a power outage somewhere in the United States. I'm not really sure exactly where. But that is an exception though. It might happen maybe once every 5 years, an exception. Nigeria is the norm. Power outages is the norm. We are optimizing the wrong thing, in my opinion. We have got to fix the energy. I feel like I'm this guy in the desert crying out into the world that Nigeria needs to fix its energy grid systems. Let's not even, I don't want to get into AI because this is not about AI, which consumes electricity that Nigeria doesn't have. Nigeria, when we are not even in the AI conversation. We are in the AI aspiration aspect when other people are actually building. You saw what just recently happened. SpaceX in the US just bought XAI to become the first ever AI slash aerospace company. They want to deploy energy systems in orbit. Because, like Elon Musk said, the Earth doesn't have the space for us to build the energy that we need. So we got to go out of space. None of these deals, these odd, somebody ought to sit. You see, the thing is, when I follow Nigerian media and I follow people who are talking to these deal makers, these guys are not asking the questions that ordinary Nigerians in the diaspora and also back home are asking. They don't tend to do that. Everyone is just trying to, they're just looking at the surface. We don't have reliable power. The Chinese would make more sense. And so all these partnerships that we're doing, to be quite honest with you, we should probably stop and just focus on one country that can help Nigeria best, in my opinion, would be China. Not South Korea, not the UAE, not Brazil. China and the US. We should be optimizing for those two. The US for technology. Remember, Nigeria still doesn't have they don't have what's the word I'm looking for? Proprietary technology stack. Nigeria doesn't have. The Innocents and the Nords, they don't have proprietary engineering. You can't tell me that Innocent today has proprietary engineering. Where are they making their batteries for their EVs? They are not. They are importing. You need software. Are you telling me that Nigeria has a technology sector, technology talents that can develop software? And by the way, software developers are going away. AI is killing software developers left and right. If AI is now taking over software development and Nigeria is not even in the AI game, so then where is Innocent getting the talent? I'm just not picking on him, not picking on Nord. Where are they getting their software expertise from? They have to import. So if the homegrown players in the EV space, like the Innocents and the Nords, are not currently able to penetrate the Nigerian EV market, why then are we going outside to bring in South Korea to open another factory, to open an EV factory in Nigeria? Shouldn't we be working? Maybe we don't believe in Innocent. The Nigerian government just doesn't believe in what Innocent is doing. That could also be that could also be it. If Nigeria believed so much in Innocent and the North, why aren't government agencies using Innocent vehicles and Nord vehicles, homegrown vehicles? The President of the United States gets moved around in American cars. We are still President Bola Tinubu. Nothing. Listen, me, I want an Escalade too. That is the president's official vehicle. President of Nigeria. His official vehicle is a Cadillac Escalade. Luxurious. Engineering, American engineering. If Nigerian leaders, if the, you see, all this starts from the top down. If Nigerian leaders are not even supporting homegrown automakers, because that's where it starts, top down. The local populace will see that Tinubu is moving in a Innocent car, as an example. And then Tinubu is getting on the mic every day saying, buy Innocent, buy Innocent, buy Innocent. Let's build the homegrown. Let's put everything behind Innocent. Let's support the Innocents and the Nords. I'm just using those two because those are the only tools that I know. If you know another car maker in Nigeria, let me know in the chat box because the only people that I know is just the Innocent and Nord. We have to have that homegrown adoption first and foremost. I'm not saying don't bring in international consultants to come in and consult. I'm not saying that. And also, Innocent too needs to be blamed because I felt like he pivoted too fast away from combustion cars to EVs. Innocent vehicles are expensive. Do you know why? Because he is not vertically integrated. He's got to bring in the engine from abroad. He's got to bring in the engineering from abroad and then assemble them in the Innocent factory. And I think it's a little more here or so. And then now you got to make up for your expenses, right? Because it's not cheap. Even with the incentives, does Nigeria even have incentives for Innocent buyers in Nigeria? So now the person that's buying a vehicle is going to say, okay, if I can bring in a Mercedes S Class, I'm just throwing a figure out there, a used Mercedes S Class that I know that the parts are readily available, a proven brand, German engineering. If I can land it in Nigeria, clean, oh, clean. Because you know, Nigeria, you have an option. It's not, you don't always have to go and buy flooded cars and, what do you call it? Cars that have been in wrecks. Most Nigerians are actually coming abroad, going to car dealerships, or they're buying from private parties. Clean title, with the car history. If they can land it knowing that the parts are readily available for them, a proven brand like Mercedes, world class engineering, if I can land it for 20 million naira, and then Mr. Innocent offers me some brand new off the showroom floor Innocent vehicle for the same amount, who do you think the Nigerian people are going to patronize? Are they going to patronize a for sure guaranteed brand, or are they going to patronize a maybe? Maybe. If you have 20 million naira to spend on a vehicle in Nigeria, you are not going to patronize a maybe brand now that today the engine fails. Before you hear from me, no son, it will be 10 years. Or are you going to patronize a foreign car in a culture that is a consumption culture? We are addicted to foreign products. So what we do, we go, we negotiate a deal with what's his name? With South Korea, which to me doesn't even align. Yes, South Koreans, they make good cars. They have Kia, they have Hyundai. Actually, I think Hyundai Kia is like the third selling brand in the US. They sell a lot of cars in America. I just don't see the correlation. Nigeria still has a long way to go in the EV sector if we want to compete globally. Innoson does not export Innoson cars. Innoson, so Nord, you are not going to buy parts from China, assemble it in Nigeria, and then export the whole car back to China or to the US. They don't have that. I'm saying that kudos. The Innosons and the Nords of Nigeria, they've kind of carved their own little niche, their own little demographic. You see, but you cannot compete globally unless you can export globally. Otherwise, you are just a local indigenous car maker trying to gain the support of the local populace, which you have constraints because the leaders of Nigeria, those who should be championing made in Nigeria, made in Nigeria, made in Nigeria, are they doing so? It's just by one day they'll go, they'll hold a okay. Talking about press conference. When was the last time there was a press conference in Nigeria for made in Nigeria products? The way Trump is doing America first, America first, America first. It's as if all of the international trips that the current administration is doing, the Davos, they are not going to Davos, they are not promoting made in Nigeria products. Instead, they are going out looking for people to come into Nigeria and quote unquote invest in Nigeria. Paint a picture from what does investing in Nigeria mean? You come and open up a factory. We still don't own the intellectual property of that factory. We still don't have proprietary technologies to be able to run the factory. It's all brought in from abroad. These things don't add up to me. And I think it's high time we stop the peacocking and the showboating and really start zeroing in on what we can do within Nigeria that we can sell to the world. Let's look at this deal with South Korea. We're going to analyze it together. I just opened it up. I haven't read it. One of our viewers in Canada, CJ, sent me this link. We're going to read it together and see what this is about. And we're going to see if it makes any sense to you because it does not make sense to me. And maybe after reading the article, maybe I can kind of see what makes sense and what does not. And I'm going to tell you what makes sense and what doesn't. So this article is from Business Insider Africa. Let's say cancel. I don't want. So the headline: Nigeria signs deal with South Korea to launch Africa's first electric. You see, we always got to be. Oh, the biggest. We are the first to launch Africa. Okay, what about just launch Nigeria's first electric vehicle factory? Why does it always have to be Africa? Why do we have to go to the African continent? 54 countries make up the African continent. Majority of them are not aligned. They are not talking to each other. They don't share resources. They don't share technologies. They don't share ideas. They don't share anything. Everybody is basically on their own, trying to negotiate bilateral deals with the world. If they are all, you cannot fly from one African country to another African country right now. You got to go through Europe. We don't even have aviation synergy. Somebody asked me the other day, how many African countries have you been to, Rich? I told him I haven't been to any, I've just Nigeria. Because for me to go from Nigeria right now to, let's say, Tunisia, I got to go to France first and then from France to Tunisia. I talk about Tunisia. I've been talking about Tunisia a lot these days because I'm negotiating something right now with somebody. They own a I want to actually bring them on. I'm still trying to figure out schedule. They export Tunisian olive oil. I want to bring them in one day so they can talk about their story. They're based here in Las Vegas. It's a couple, husband and wife. They're from Tunisia. So Niger signs deal. We're always signing deals that don't make sense. There's also another thing that you know is like there's no follow through. It's not as if they're keeping you updated on, oh, the deal that we did with Brazil. Remember, we did a deal with Brazil last year, 2 years ago. Where's the follow through on that deal? Whatever came from that deal that we did with Brazil. We just recently signed something with the UAE. We just did something with Saudi Arabia. Where is the follow through on that? How can they come back to us and say, this deal that we signed is linked to job creation? We were able to create 300 jobs out of this deal. Look at this new fresh factory that's led by Nigerians. Because you know, it's not as if when these factories come into the country, Nigerians are the directors and the VPs. They're not. Nigerians are basically workers. They bring in their own leadership, and we basically work for that leadership. But when we have homegrown stuff, guess what? We are leaders of that homegrown stuff, are we not? And if we want to bring external expertise and consulting horsepower, we can do that to train Nigerians. So Olamilekan Okebiorun wrote this. This was yesterday. CJ, thank you for sending me this. Oh, look at this. See, Nigeria has taken a major step. We're always taking major steps. I don't see what is major about this. I understand this is from Olamilekan's pen. So we've taken a major step towards establishing a domestic electric vehicle. It's comical. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. We don't have lights. We don't have lights, but we are bringing in words. We want to bring in an EV factory when we still don't have constant lights in the country. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Let me turn this down. You guys that are watching, post in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about all this stuff. Okay. So sorry, I'm distracted right now. Doing something on my cell phone. All right. So the EV industry, after signing an agreement with South Korea's Asia Economic Development Committee, AEDC, to establish what officials are calling Africa's first EV manufacturing plant. Let's look at this. I want to pull this Asia. I don't know what this is. Let's copy it. Let's post it here and see what this is about. What can ChatGPT tell us about this Asia Economic Development Committee? We don't have a private sector. It's just Nigeria has government-led trade deals, government agreements. Why couldn't Innoson have gone and done something with BYD in China? The Asia Economic Development Committee is typically referenced as a regional platform focused on economic growth, trade facilitation, and cross-border investment across Asia. Where is Africa's version of this? You know what would have made more sense if Nigeria linked up with other African nations to do something like this. But we always got to step outside of the sandbox. We got to go to another country. Are we not capable of doing things within the African continent? Are we not? So now that we know that this development agency in Asia, we've read a little bit about them. So now we are calling it Africa's first EV manufacturing plant. Look at that. Nigerian science deal with South Korea to launch. Okay. Okay. So here's the summary in four bullet points there. So we've signed the South Korea deal. Initiative aligns with Nigeria's energy and automotive. What energy development? So the initiative aligns with Nigeria's energy and automotive development plans and will include the creation of essential EV infrastructure. The number one thing you need in EV development is what? Energy, meaning electrical power. Efforts to support EV adoption include financing programs. Hold on a hot minute. How is a financing program? How does that help with adoption? Let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. The first thing that helps with any adoption is mindset shift. It's not money. You can have all the money in the world. If you don't have buy-in from the local populace, you don't have a sector. We are trying to throw money at the problem. Nigerians can't tell me today that they have buy-in for EV when NEPA takes light every 2 hours. The first question that they're going to ask you is, you want me to do EV? Where I go power am now? Where are all the charging stations now? Let's say I want to drive from Lagos to Akwa Ibom. How many charging stations are along the way? Do we have charging stations in Bini? How many charging stations are along the way? So, with the inconsistent current flow of energy in Nigeria, it might take you a week for you to power. That's if you even get 1 week of light. Oh, man. Efforts to support EV include financing programs and state level initiatives such as electric buses in Lagos. You see, these are state vehicles. The state of Lagos maybe might have charging stations for their EV buses and stuff like that. But we are talking about ordinary Nigerians here, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. It says here on the fourth bullet point, once operational, the facility is projected to produce 300,000 vehicles annually and generate around 10,000 jobs. You say once operational. What's the timeline for that? Are we looking at maybe it's hidden in the article? We're going up. I'm looking at the timeline. Is it a 5 year timeline? Is it a 25-year timeline like what Alex Oti is doing within Abia States? Which, although I like what Alex Oti is doing with his 25-year Abia State roadmap, I love it, but I think 25 years is too long to force focus. Oh man. Let's continue. You see, Nigeria, we love spectacle. We love to show off. Let me highlight this paragraph here. The agreement signed on okay, so they signed this agreement 5 days ago. Is it binding or is it just an MOU? The agreement signed on January 30th, 2025. Or did it mean 2026? The date might be wrong. I doubt this agreement was signed a year ago. By Minister of State Industry John Ino for Nigeria and AEDC Chairman Yoo Sung-hoon for South Korea marks a major step in the country's push to localize vehicle production and green technology. Oh my God. Let's localize Innoson first. Oh. That is Innoson vehicle website. I'm showing you. You guys, by the way, if you are an Innoson owner or you know somebody, I heard Innoson's cars are good for Nigerian roads. Um, one of my objectives actually is to go and visit the plant and maybe test drive an Innoson vehicle so I can talk about it. If you've driven Innoson cars, post in the chat. Do you like it? What is it about? The design is kind of basic to me. We're gonna come back to the oh, look at that. The that kind of looks like a Mercedes G-Wagon, doesn't it? Innoson vehicles. Buy Innoson, made easy. How to access Innoson Auto Finance. We're gonna come back to Innoson, but let's go back to this article. So according to oh, okay. Before I go, localized vehicle production and green technology adoption. Okay. Most Nigerians don't even know what that is. According to a statement posted on the official X account of the National Automotive Design and Development Council. Okay, see, the date was wrong. He meant January 30th, 2026, not January 30th, 2025. So, quote, on January 30th, the federal government of Nigeria, through Senator John Ino, Honorable Minister of State for Industry at the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, with all our acronyms. Oh, what did I say about the MOU? This one, a memorandum of understanding. MOUs are almost always non-binding. That's it. It doesn't mean shit. Because the Korea still has to come in and do. Let me stop sharing this for a second. Like I said, MOUs, non-binding, almost always, but Korea still has to come in and do their due diligence. So let me tell you, this deal may or may not materialize and it's 50-50. So don't get your hopes up so high. I don't honestly think that majority of Nigerians right now they are jumping up for joy, saying, "Yeah, we're gonna have EV cars." Nigerians that don't even use they don't drive Innocent, they don't drive Nord, but yeah, we're gonna have a Korean EV version. Let's go back and finish this article so we can move on. See, MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, non-binding. What sticks out here? They want to establish an electric vehicle manufacturing plant and develop critical charging infrastructure nationwide. Do you know how difficult it is to do that? Even Tesla, the most valuable EV maker in the world, it's still struggling to deploy. Well, I wouldn't say that they are struggling. Tesla is not struggling. But it's not as if it's not like China, where there's in China's ecosystem, there are four EV charging stations to every fuel station in China. That's what Nigeria needs if we want to make this work. You see, the US doesn't have that yet. China is slowly phasing out combustion vehicles for electric vehicles. If it's a 4-to-1 ratio in 2026, meaning for every one fuel station, there are four charging stations. In the next 10 years, it might even be 10-to-1 ratio to where just one filling station for every 10 is enough for you to be able, if you have combustion vehicle, okay, you have one filling station here, just go ahead and pump gas, change your oil. They already have that going on. So you see how a Chinese partnership would have made more sense if we're really looking at the foundational layer. You see, without charging stations, you don't have an EV sector, period. Full stop. And without energy, electrical power, constant electrical power, you cannot have a charging station, period. Full stop. So we are playing the wrong music here and we are dancing the wrong dance. We need to look at the basics first. We just can't, you see, some people just want to wake up, put on shoes, go to the soccer field and think that they are Diego Maradona. That's what Nigeria is doing right now. Just because you have on cleats and you are tapping soccer does not make you Messi or Ronaldo. Those guys that have put in decades of work, those guys literally were born with a football in their hand and soccer cleats on their feet. We just want to go do this strange memorandum of understanding deal, take a few pictures, and then platforms like Business Insider will talk about it. Platforms like Americans will tell you that we are missing the point. Look, I want the best for Nigeria, but this is not how to go about it. Not when the likes of Innocent Motors are still struggling for adoption. So here it says, I think this is Mr. Eno and the Korean minister holding their little memo, their little MOUs. So let's look at the phased approach and production targets. Let's go and highlight that. This project will be implemented in phases, beginning with EV assembly and later expanding into full in-house production. God! Do you know what would have been more appropriate is to say this project will be implemented in phases, beginning with the establishment of energy infrastructures like electrical power. And then, once we have solved the electrical power problem, then we'll begin with the EV assembly and then expand into. So we are skipping energy altogether and going straight to assembling of the assembly of EV. This makes no sense. And then it goes to say, once fully operational, the plant is expected to produce 300,000 vehicles annually. Who is going to drive those vehicles that you're producing? And where are they going to get the money? A middle manager in Nigeria right now doesn't even make 200,000 naira a month. Remember, you still got to compete with the net importation of used vehicles. It's not as if those are going away. Those are not going away. Nigerians are still going to import cars. Nigerians are still going to buy foreign products. Just because it's manufactured in Nigeria doesn't mean that I'm going to change my purchasing behavior. Doesn't mean I'm going to change my perception just because it's made there in Nigeria. We are approaching this all wrong. 10,000 jobs. I'm assuming total, right? If it's in phased, you still got to train the workforce. Where is the batteries? Where will they be manufactured? Will they be manufactured in Nigeria? They're using Nigerian resources and Nigerian labor. Remember, we have the largest deposit of lithium in Nigeria. Lithium is the primary ingredient for the manufacturing of batteries. Nigeria is, we don't have a shortage of that. So that's good. We don't have to bring in lithium from abroad. But we are skipping. It's like what we are trying to do with this deal, folks, is you have a baby, and then we are skipping the crawling phase of that baby's life, and we are going straight to running. Government initiatives to support EV adoption. Okay, where is the government initiative to support Innoson, ladies and gentlemen? Listen, I don't know Innoson. I'm not cheerleading for Innoson, but I'm not saying that. Listen, bypassing homegrown to go straight to bringing in a Korean company to establish factories when Innoson already has an existing factory, we should be supporting people like Innoson. I'm still not giving up my. I'll listen to me. I like me some homegrown stuff, but I also like me some Escalade. You're not going to convince me to buy an Innoson when I can own an Escalade. You're not going to convince me to buy an Innoson when I can own a G-Wagon. You're not going to convince me to buy an Innoson when I can own a Range Rover. I'm sorry. It's too late. Nigeria's automotive sector faces structural challenges. What are you telling? Including, what did I talk about? Local component production, high assembly costs, and heavy reliance on imports. The components that you are going to need. Guys, don't you know? A vehicle is essentially an assembly of systems, plain and simple. You got to get the chassis. That's a system. Chassis has to go through manufacturing. That's a system. Nigeria doesn't have that. We got to get the tires. That's also a system that has to go through engineering and manufacturing. Nigeria doesn't have that. You got to go through the battery, EV battery. That's also a system that has to undergo manufacturing. Nigeria doesn't have that. We also have to go through the software needed to move that vehicle from point A to point B. Nigeria doesn't have that. Most importantly, the energy infrastructure needed to power factories. Nigeria does not have that. So we are bypassing all these things that we need. And then we are signing documentation that the ordinary Nigerian that can barely eat 3 square meals a day Remember, one out of 10 Nigerian households own cars. By the way, used. Maybe point one out of that can say they own a brand new car. Let's stop looking at the noise and let's start focusing on the signal. Nigeria imports between 400,000 and 720,000 vehicles annually. With 74 to 90% being used cars. So that means only one out of 10 cars that Nigerians bring into the country is brand new. Oh, in 2023, imports reached 700,000 units, with passenger cars valued at $1.5 billion in 2024, making Nigeria one of the world's largest markets for pre-owned vehicles. Oh my God, he's not lying. To promote the electric mobility, the federal government launched a 20 billion, oh my God, 12 million dollars. That's a peanuts. $12 million does not move the needle in this day and age where deals are in the billions. Listen to me, real deals today, guys. They are not million dollar deals anymore now. Deals in 2026 and they're billions. If you are not coming to the table with a minimum of $1 billion, you don't even know what you're doing. You are a small fry. Minimum 1 billion. The scheme supports the purchase. Okay, look. Initiatives to support local EV adoption, and we only budgeted $12 million for it to support companies like what? Inoso, Nord, CIG. Which one is PAN? Is that Peugeot? Look at all these guys. Look at all this. Previous EV efforts. Let's read that. Earlier EV initiatives in Nigeria. Uh-oh, close. Oh, I don't want that, huh? Earlier EV initiatives in Nigeria, like the Naseni Israeli-Japanese collaboration in 2022 or the December 2025 partnership with the Chinese firm, were pilot projects or partial assembly efforts and did not reach full-scale production. So that what makes you think Korea will reach full-scale production if you can't even get it through China? If full-scale production with China, the global leader in EV production by volume, can't reach full production in Nigeria, what makes us think that this is going to happen with South Korea? I am not buying it. I'm not buying what you're selling. Regional context and opportunities. Across Africa, electric vehicle adoption is growing. I'm not saying it's not growing. It might be growing across Africa, but it is cooling across the rest of the world, folks. According to EV24, the continent had over 30,000 EVs in use by mid. You see what I'm talking about, the numbers? Put it this way. What is Africa's population? 1.4. Actually, I don't want to be wrong. Let's do this. What is the population of Africa? Ask ChatGPT. I think it's at 1.4 billion. Oh, okay. So 1.46 billion. I wasn't too far off. Okay. 1.4 billion population. And you only have 30,000 EVs in the road in use. Does that mathematics make any sense to you? Nigeria alone brings in 700,000 used cars abroad. Now, just Nigeria alone. If the entire African continent only has 30,000 EVs spread across the entire African continent of 54 countries with 42 currencies, there might be only less than 1,000 EVs in on Nigerian roads. Also factor in that we still haven't adopted Innoson yet. What is Nigeria thinking? South Korea is going to look, South Korea is going to go back, do their due diligence. They're going to look at past deals like this Naseni. South Korea is going to contact these companies, Israel, Japanese, they're going to contact China. They're going to say, okay, what happened? What challenges were you facing in Nigeria? Let me tell you something. If it was all rosy and if this was worth it for these companies, they would not have left. This is all a smoke screen. This is not when Nigeria needs to be channeling its energy. Only 30,000 EVs on African roads. Only 30,000. Now, let's look at this. This is interesting. Ethiopia has about what? 100,000 EVs on Ethiopian roads right now, followed by Ghana with 17,000, Morocco with 10, South Africa with 6,000, Egypt with 5,000 to 4,000, and Kenya with nearly 3,800. Okay. It goes, it goes down from there. Where does Nigeria fit in this EV conversation? I'm telling you, we might have probably less than 1,000 EV vehicles on Nigerian roads today. And then it says here, most EVs are motorcycles or commercial vehicles, and adoption is constrained by high cost and limited charging infrastructure. Nigeria's agreement with South Korea's AEDC to build Africa's first full-scale EV plant highlights its ambition. You can have all the ambition in the world, but the data and the past history doesn't support this ambition. If you were to ask me, I can bet you 100,000. I can bet you this Korea-Niger deal is not going to fall, is not going to go into full production because Africa still has an EV adoption problem, largely driven by lack of regular, constant electrical power needed for you to power the same EV that they are trying to sell you. Look, follow through is a big problem. We are not going to, you're ever going to hear about this again. It's probably not going to unite. This is it. I honestly feel that we should stop, to be quite honest. And I'm going to close with this. Actually, before I close, let's look at Innocent. Promise I was going to show you guys Innocent. This is not a review of Innocent vehicles. Look, the website kind of doesn't scream premium to me. It doesn't. Let's look at some of the incentives that could force Nigerian buyers to adopt Innocent. We're not interested in quality. Every car is asking, you see, quality is not a selling factor for me because every car is quality. All right, let's look at their menu here to see. Let's look at their blog to see if there's any new information that Innoson is sharing with the world. Says all you need to know about IMV electric cars. I think this is the latest one. When was this blog written? It just says why we should look at Innoson cars. They're pretty ugly cars. There's nothing about Innoson that makes me want to jump out of bed to go and buy it. These are basic ugly vehicles. Oh, this was written back in 2000. So Innoson has not updated their blog in over 2 years. So we're gonna move on from you, Innoson, and look at Nord. Let's look at Nord. So guys, Nord is an assembly. Uh, they don't make their own cars. They just put cars together. They are not a manufacturer. They are a car assembler. Same thing with what Peugeot was trying to do. PAN. So let's look at the about. Nord Automobiles and Nigerian automobile manufacturer. You are not a manufacturer, please. You're a car assembler. You know? Let's look at their news. So I usually like to go to see what the company is talking about. Where is the news section of this site? The mission. Actually, let's go to frequently asked questions. Oh, sorry, newsletter is what I'm looking for. Oh, it's okay. So they don't even have a newsletter. When was Innoson, when did they start? Let's go back to the About Me and see if we can learn more about. Sorry, not Innoson, Nord Motion. Look, again, ugly buses. Nothing really stands out. So when was this company launched? It couldn't have. It's got to at least be in the last like 5 years or so. The vision is to be Nigeria's branded global automotive company that designs and assembles. You are okay. So Unison, sorry, Nord, you design and assemble, but you're not really a true manufacturer because Nord is not vertically integrated. Let's look at some of their vehicles. So these are just like basic bosses that they have in the background. Just too many brands. Too many brands. What is a Nord tank? Kind of looks like a just a basic mid-size truck. Horsepower 174. How much are they selling these cars for? Just basic. Look at that. The basic trim. The services. Just basic trim. So they have 24/7 roadside assistance. Okay, so if I'm stranded in a Nigerian village, you'll be there. If I'm stranded in a Nigerian village at 2 o'clock in the morning, you'll be there. Well, anyway, time is it? So yeah, I'm gonna close with this. I feel like we need to I always tell my kids, we need to lower the temperature. When something gets heightened and elevated, I always tell my kids, lower and then they finish it, temperature. Nigeria needs to lower the temperature. CJ, what's up? Hey, I'm in a cab, can't listen now. Almost at destination. Later, you can listen, CJ. I've been on for an hour and a half. Nigeria needs to lower the temperature and we need to focus on basic foundational infrastructures like energy. You see, what I would love to see is more trade deals focused primarily on energy. Who is really out there with a bullhorn saying we need to solve this energy grid problem? That's the foundation. That is how Nigeria is going to get out of this 65-year-old mess that we are in. Dangote is already doing his part. Because of Dangote, we don't have to worry about queuing for fuel anymore at Nigerian filling stations. We don't have to worry about buying subpar quality petrol for our vehicles anymore. So Dangote has done his part when it comes to gasoline, diesel, jet A fuel. He's done his part. What Nigeria needs is a Dangote version for energy. We can't keep trying to build. You look at a building, you got to create the foundation of a building first. We are not focused on the foundational aspect of growing the country. Everybody just wants to put up a high rise. Everybody just wants to put up a nice fancy duplex. On what foundation? We need energy. Solve the energy problem and watch Nigeria grow. That is Nigeria's Achilles heel right now. It's not the showboating, it's the energy. We have to solve the energy problem. Otherwise, next week you're going to have another memorandum of understanding from some weird country on some weird project. You're gonna have Tinubu again flying abroad. They're already complaining that he's traveling too much. He's not focused on the Nigerian economy. He's all over the map, which, in my opinion, honestly, I think he is. Tinubu, in the last 2 years and 8 months, has traveled more than Donald Trump combined in Donald Trump's first presidency and current presidency. Tinubu has traveled more than Trump. Where are you going, Mr. President? Can't these meetings be done via Zoom? Can't they be done by Microsoft Teams? We want to see Tinubu on ground more. I want to see Tinubu on the ground more. Go to Akwa Ibom State. Go to Rivers State. Go to Lagos State. We want to see more of Tinubu within Nigeria. Send Shetima to go and do the outside stuff. We need you, Mr. President. We need you to give us a reason to support the likes of the innocent. We need you to help us get out of this informal sector that we are in that you can't track. Everything's got to be formalized now. All those mechanic villages and all those slaughterhouses in Nigeria, are they regulated? So then that way, when I'm taking my car to go get service, I want to take it to a licensed, bonded, regulated body shop, not just a roadside mechanic. These are the basic things that we need if we want to grow Nigeria. And it doesn't always have to all happen at once. But we got to get into regulating more. We got to regulate. Don't even get me started with artificial intelligence because I'll be here another year. We are not even in that conversation. All right. Post your thoughts in the chat box. Let me know what you think about this whole EV thing. The adoption in the United States for EV is cooling down. Some people are actually trading in their EV cars and going back to combustion cars. Some people are trading in their full EV cars and going to a hybrid combination of EV and combustion engine. So the Western world that has these basic infrastructures are not even really fully on board with EV. Is it Nigeria? All right, guys, thank you for your time. I'll be back tomorrow, same time, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time in Las Vegas. My name is Richard Barakat. If this resonates with you, feel free to like, share, and comment, and also feel free to subscribe. And yes, I will put the tomorrow's podcast title out later on today or first thing in the morning. But I look forward to chopping it up again with you guys tomorrow. Join me. Let's analyze, look at what's really happening in Nigeria. On this platform, we really focus on the signal. We don't really focus too much on the noise. We don't really, well, I shouldn't say we, I should say I. I don't get excited about I get excited about signals, not about the noise. And this Korea deal today, UAE deal tomorrow, Saudi Arabia deal the next day, all of these don't make any sense because I can't tie them to job creation, number one, and I cannot tie them to full energy infrastructure development. Without energy, I can't stress this enough. I don't understand. I don't think most people know what I'm talking about. Without energy, we can't do nothing. You are not going to build a country using generator. I'm sorry, you can't. We need to fix the national grid. These aren't sexy things. We are not here to talk about the sexy stuff. We are talking about the true hardcore things that we need to do in Nigeria. The energy grid needs to be modernized. And we need electrical power in rural areas. Give me 1 year of uninterrupted power in rural Nigeria, and then we have a country. If the people are unable to pay their electrical bill, that is the one thing. That is more of a personal economy. But there needs to be available power for people who can afford to pay their electrical bill, companies who can afford to pay, for them to have 24/7 electrical power to run their businesses. I want 1 year of it, not more than 1 year. 365 days of uninterrupted power in rural Nigeria. Only then and only then will Nigeria be ready to compete with the world. Otherwise, we are always going to be known as a nation of potential and as a nation of opportunity. And being known as a nation of potential and opportunity does not pay the bills and does not put food on the table. I'm going to close with that, guys. Catch you guys tomorrow. All the best.